everybody. Welcome back. Episode 37, Sports with Skiz. It feels like we've been gone a long time, but that's what happens when college football is winding down. Knock, let me be the first to tell you Merry Christmas, brother.
Merry Christmas, my friend, and hopefully it's a Happy New Year for you as well. Even though we'll see each other beforehand, but still.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. How's everything been, man? It feels like it's been a while. Our last couple videos have been doing pretty decent. We've been getting a little bit of hate on some of the videos. I know Dion was talking crazy about Miami, which came to backfire. We'll jump into shortly. We tried to tell him, or at least I think I tried to tell him. I thought Miami deserved to be in there.
Yeah, it's hard to go on the air and call yourself a Miami fan when you don't watch every Miami game.
Yeah,
But you know what? You could still root for Miami from a distance, and that's our guy, and we'll have him back. Uh, he gets excited. He gets excited,
yeah.
as we all do, as we all do. So yeah, it's just been that time of year, man, where financially you just take a complete tumble, and I'm looking forward to bouncing back. Let's just say that, brother. Let's just say that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, without further ado, we'll jump right into it. This episode we'll be covering obviously the games that happened for the college football playoffs, going over some FCS D2 and D3, and then what you think, Knock? We'll get back together and talk about the upcoming games that'll be happening next week for
Yeah,
college football.
yeah,
Okay.
that's fine
All
with
right.
me, bro.
All right, perfect, perfect. Well, start now. We'll start with the first game of the weekend. We had Alabama going to Norman, Oklahoma, taking on the Sooners in what was, I thought, a very, very good game. Alabama gets their redemption, gets payback, 34-24. The way though that they started out, I thought that they were going to get run out of the building. But shout out to Bama, shout out to Kalen DeBoer, and especially Ty Simpson as well too. They weathered the storm. You could see that they really never got defeated, even after some of those bad plays on offense. The defense didn't look too bad, but the offense really needed to kick it up into rhythm. And for a while there, I really thought that we were going to get that same Bama offense that kind of looked like they did to finish out the season, like against Auburn and against Georgia.
Yeah, I saw the tide turn for the Tide there in the second quarter. Um, Good thing I did too. Had to throw some change down on that. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, no. Listen, I this is something that if I didn't already say in the pod, I was just talking about this entire week or the last week was just Alabama's not going to repeat the same mistakes. I understand that they're not coached by the same guy, but they're still held to the same standard. And Oklahoma, while they're good, I mean, I'll tell you one thing: the turning point of the game was this. It's the second quarter, and Oklahoma's up 17-7. They can put it away 24-7. John Mateer, he rolls out. He's got a guy running a post wide open. And for some reason, this is the Patrick Mahomes effect. He wants to throw the ball off one leg, unbalanced, sidearm it like Matt Stafford. And instead of just planting his feet and throwing a dime, nobody near him, no defender back there, he throws the ball short. I think that was a second or a third down. Completely changed the trajectory of the ball game. Alabama went to work after that. Took advantage of the opportunity. Oklahoma, they had that block punt, and yeah, that was all.
Yeah,
I knew Bama was going to come out with the win. Mateer just he looks good, but Oklahoma doesn't really have a running game. That really hurt them.
yeah. That game changer play that you were just talking about, um, that was something that I was going to talk about as well too. It was, I think it was their running back out of the backfield that was wide open. Like if he catches that, he's going to be gone. And I think it was actually 17-0 whenever he dropped it. Xavier Robinson,
Yeah,
excuse me,
yeah.
was the one who dropped it. No help over top. It looked like it was man with the blitz. I thought Mateer looked okay on that. He put the ball right where he needed to. I could see what you're saying about like the extra throwing it off one foot, but I thought that was a good play. He evaded a good little scramble, and then it was like boom, the momentum shifted from there. He made that mistake as well too late in the second quarter, throwing that pick six to bring that game to a tie essentially. So yeah, I mean he looked okay, 307 yards. His completion percentage wasn't all that great, but neither of these teams really could get a run game here. I'm looking at
Hmm.
Oklahoma finished with 33 carries, 55 yards, and Alabama 25 carries, 28 yards as well too. Shout out to Jeremy Bernard, the Alabama wide receiver who made that amazing 24-yard catch on the far sideline. Do you remember that? I think it was third down. It was in the fourth quarter. Bama was trying to get another touchdown to basically seal the game, and he caught it along the sideline and got
Yeah.
his foot down, kept possession, and then they were able to punch it in and go up 34-24. That basically solidified it. The thing that sucks for Oklahoma is your great kicker, Tate Sandel, just got in his own head in those last two kicks. I mean, the one wasn't even close, where he kicked it, I think, from like 50 yards or something like that. He kicked it where it would have probably only went in if it was like 44 yards.
Yeah,
So
it was short.
um,
How do you do that?
it was so bad. And the crazy thing about him is I think he's up for, or either is up for or won some awards for being like the best kicker in college football. And it sucks. That's a bad way to finish your season, potentially your career. He's a junior. He could come out. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, shout out to Ty Simpson. I thought he locked in, especially in that second half. And I got to say one thing, man. I don't like really criticizing a lot of these kids, but boy, Ryan Williams, where has he gone? Where has he been? What did he turn into? He had a big drop in that game, I think early in the first half, maybe even the first quarter, and just essentially looked non-existent. He had one catch for 5 yards, bringing his season total. He has 636 yards receiving, just four touchdowns on 43 receptions. And I really don't know what's been going on with him. But if you look at some of his last three games to end the season, he had one catch, 25 yards against Georgia. He had two catches, 33 yards, and in this game, one catch, 5 yards. So it would be nice to see him get going in the second round because Alabama's really going to need him to step up. If they want to try to make a true push for that national championship spot.
Yeah, and they face a good team in Indiana. And that's going to be a pretty exciting matchup. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, the fall off is tough. He played great last year. And, it's just kind of looking like QB wide receiver chemistry thing. He balled as a freshman, so I'm just not really understanding um, what's going on with his drop off. And that's also a lot of expectation on the kid. He's just a standout freshman. He's got a lot of money now, so he's cool and he can turn up next year.
Yeah. Well, he
He can turn up.
definitely will have to. He only has five less receptions than all of his year last year, but he has under 200 yards and four less touchdowns too. So we'll see what could happen with that. Hopefully he bounces back. I like Ryan Williams. I just think it's crazy how he's kind of vanished off the earth. But I digress. We can move on to the second game. I think the best game of the weekend, to be honest with you. I know a lot of people probably don't like rock fights, but I love seeing defensive battles. I know everybody wants to see a ton of points, but the Miami Hurricanes, they go into College Station and beat the one-time number one team in the nation, the Texas A&M Aggies, 10-3. Knock, go ahead and kick us off with this one.
Mike, actually, you know what? You kick us off with this one.
Well, to start off, man, that Mark Fletcher was
Yeah.
the best player on the field. I mean, he had 17 carries, 172 yards, didn't score a touchdown, but he was averaging over 10 yards a carry, and he really came on in that second half. They were leaning heavily on him because if you look at Carson Beck's stats, 14 completions out of 20 attempts, 103 yards, one touchdown. Texas A&M was making it very hard on him to throw the ball. They were getting a lot of pressure. I think they finished with five or six sacks, I want to say. So that D line for Texas A&M, they're a menace. But shout out to the O line of Miami for just moving people out the way. Shout out to my guy Malachi Tony. He bounced back after that huge fumble on one of the last drives to try to solidify the game and bounced back and scored the game-winning touchdown and the only touchdown of the game. That dude, he literally can do it all. I think right now he has the most missed tackles in all of college football forced, I think with like 33 or 35. Kid's a stud. He still has to play 2 more years before he can enter the draft. And then the biggest letdown for me was Marcel Reed. Just very inconsistent, a lot of inaccurate throws. Those two interceptions that he threw were horrible. That one to seal the game when they could have tied it to forced overtime. If he leads his receiver to that ball, it's a touchdown, but he threw it so far behind him. And Miami capitalized. Another true freshman, Bryce Fitzgerald, had both of the interceptions. He came up big to play. Their defensive line came up big to play. They had 7 sacks. Keontae Scott had 10 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss. I think that they heard a lot of the noise of people thinking that they didn't deserve to be in there and Notre Dame should have been over them. And Mario Cristobal, hats off to you, brother. Like, you've taken over a Miami team where your first 2 seasons, I think the first season they went 5-7. I think the second season they might have went 8-4 last year. They did all right. And then this year he has them into a playoff winning team and shutting up a lot of the doubters, man. And I don't think he really liked, I don't know if you saw after the game, Michael Irvin came up to him and gave him a kiss on the cheek, and he looked like he was absolutely disgusted with that. So might have to tell Mike Irvin to calm down a little bit. He was going nuts on the sideline on all fours in a fetal position, basically, it looked like. But it's cool to see. I'm not really a big Miami fan, but with their alumni, the pipeline that they have to the NFL, seeing all those guys on the sideline that came to watch that game, it was cool to see. And man, did they go in there and they shut up Kyle Field with 106,000 rowdy fans looking to see a playoff push and just ended their season in tears.
I remember a wise man once told me Miami is not back. Does that man want to make an apology?
Yeah, I will make an apology. I still will not say that they're back until they win the ACC. They've been in the conference for over 20 years and haven't won it. And I need to see them win a national championship. It's the same thing for the Miami fans before you start harassing me. It's the same thing like whenever Texas upset, I think Notre Dame or someone, I forget, like a couple years ago, their first game, and everybody's like Texas back. Or was it Sam Ellinger the one year they won like a Sugar Bowl and he was like, we're back. And then it's like, well, you went 500 the next year. So, but I will say that I was a little bit early in saying that whenever they lost to Louisville. But Miami fans, go check out our last pod. I did back you guys. I thought you guys
You
should be
did.
in the playoffs.
You did.
So
You definitely did. No, just poking a little bit of fun there. I mean, yeah, rock fight of a game. Texas A&M just could not finish drives. Now, I'm not really too bad at the numbers Marcel put up. A little inconsistent, and this is tough. It's tough. And they had what, maybe 90 yards rushing, 85, 90 yards rushing. I don't have
mhm.
all the stats pulled up directly in front of me, but like, listen, I mean, his 2 interceptions was one in the red zone, 14 incompletions. He's getting his team downfield. They couldn't run the ball, and that's just a
Mhm.
difference in that stuff matters. You can't put it all on a quarterback in this situation and in a game like this. Now look at how he performed all season long. That's all going to get overshadowed by a 2 interception game and a game-losing interception against a good Miami team, a Miami defense that even you said like last week they're tough.
Mhm.
Nobody's talking about them. Nobody's talking about that front four that applies the pressure. And by the way, yeah, ball thrown a little bit behind the receiver in the end zone. That's just a great play made by the safety. That was a great play made by the safety. So Marcel 15 carries, 27 yards. I mean, they shut that shit down. Forced him to stay in the pocket, be a pocket passer. And, he had a little bit of time on that last play and just got a little excited and, throws a pick. So, I mean, hey, look, you can't put the loss on the guy. Defense played great. It was a defensive matchup. I think our buddy Dion said that A&M's defense is pretty good too. And they were,
Mhm.
this was an 11. Were they undefeated or did they lose a game?
They had one game that they lost to
Right,
Texas.
right. That's right. The comeback. Right. No, it wasn't a comeback. I'm sorry. They came back for South Carolina. My mistake. But yeah. So, they just again, Mark Fletcher, 171 yards on the ground. That's going to dominate. And look at what Carson Beck does. He only throws for 100 yards, but 70% completion percentage. those little touchdown in there, just has to game manage, and that's really all it comes down to. So we know what time of year it is. If you have a good running game, I mean, that's going to make all the difference.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I gotta just laugh at too is the how crazy the wind was for these kickers. More specifically, Carter Davis for Miami went 1 for 4. He did make a 21 yarder, but some of his kicks just looked crazy with how that wind was blowing. And then something that kind of came back to bite the Aggies, like it really has all year. They really haven't had a consistent kicking game. They had their first one of the day block that kind of set some more momentum for Miami and spun some things in motion. So, yeah, shout out to the Hurricanes, man. That's a huge, huge win, the biggest one of the weekend, in my perspective, just with you going on the road and essentially just dominating defensively and making it, I guess, easier on your offense to kind of be relaxed. If you go, if you don't get a first down, you don't get points here, it's okay. We got your back. They were picking them up all day. So, um, yeah, that was cool to see. It's going to be an interesting matchup next week with Miami taking on Ohio State. As we all remember, what was that? The 2000 national championship, 2001. Whenever
Yep.
Miami thought they won the game, they threw that flag late, and then Ohio State ended up capturing the national championship to keep Miami from winning back-to-back titles. So I'm going to be looking forward to that. That game is going to be on Wednesday of next week. But with that being said, we're going to jump over to another game here. Two last ones that we got for you. Ole Miss just absolutely dominates Tulane yet again, unfortunately, 41-10. Knock, you want to start off with this one?
Yeah, I was at work for this game, so I really didn't catch it. And as much as I was rooting for one of these two teams, to do well, it just didn't turn out that way. Tulane really didn't have a shot in hell. James Madison, Oregon came out shot out like a cannon early. So yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much to say about this Tulane Ole Miss game. This was Trinidad Chambliss doing what he wanted to do, and it was just a slow paced game. I caught a couple of plays there, and it was just like Oregon or Ole Miss was just dinking and dunking and just methodically driving down the field and just looking like it was practice.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty ugly from the jump. One thing that I will say, Ole Miss got the opening kickoff and then took it 3 plays, 75 yards in 59 minutes, capped off by a 20-yard run from Kaiwan Lacey. And then the one thing that, and this is super early, so people could say that I'm wrong or anything, but one thing I will say, Tulane gets the ball after Ole Miss just scored to make it 7-0, and they put together a really, really good drive. They converted on, I think, one or two fourth downs, and we're getting into it was a 10-play, 52-yard drive, converted on two fourth downs, I believe. And then they're in at least field goal range. They're looking to try to get seven. I think they're on like the Mississippi 29, 30-yard line. And Retzlaff just throws a pretty bad pass that gets intercepted and taken the other way. And then Ole Miss then goes 4 plays, 60 yards to make it 14-0. So that kind of, once that interception happened after that first one, thinking like, damn, man, this was the chance to get some points, capitalize, get some more momentum. And then that was basically done after that. But yeah, to your point, Trinidad Chambliss looked great, 23 of 29, 282 yards, one touchdown. Shout out to Austin Simmons as well too. Trinidad Chambliss went down with an injury, had to miss a couple of plays. He came in, went 4 or 5 for 64 yards as well too. And then Kwan Lacey is just a beast, 15 carries, 87 yards, one touchdown. Didn't really have to do much with this game, kind of being out of reach in the third quarter. But yeah, I mean, Retzlaff stats looked okay. 20 attempt or 20 completions, excuse me, for 35 attempts, 306 yards, one touchdown, one interception. I mean, if you look at it, it's kind of crazy the way that this game really pulled out. I mean, they couldn't really get too much going. They went 0 of 4 on fourth down, which hurt. They were trying to get some momentum. They put up 421 total yards of offense, 20 first downs. Penalties kind of hurt, 3 for 38. And then on third down, they went 5 of 13. They did have more time in possession. So if people look at that, you would say, like, what the hell went wrong? Well, that first turnover that kind of hurt them, and then not converting on some fourth down. So excuse me when I said that Tulane converted on fourth down on that first drive. I was lying. It was third down, so multiple third downs, but it felt like fourth for some reason. But yeah, shout out to Ole Miss, man. They came out, they answered the bell. People were interested to see how they were gonna bounce back after Lane Kiffin's departure, and I thought that they looked really really good. Obviously, they're going to be in for a bigger test this upcoming week. I want to say they play against Georgia, so it'll be a rematch from their loss earlier in the year at a neutral site. You never know what could happen, but their defense is going to have to um, play better with just like limiting yards. That's been one of their key factors this year is the defense kind of gives up a lot of yards, but the offense just always rolls. So they could kind of come out of deficits like that, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. And it's definitely going to be an exciting matchup, which I am rooting for Ole Miss the entire way through and through, just based off of everything that has happened. Um, but you know what? Yeah, it would be nice to see a different, I'm sorry, there's too much red in the college football playoffs, so I almost have to root for Ole Miss. I'm a big fan of the color blue. And why not? I mean, Ole Miss, you never really see them to a point like this. So I mean, they're the team that I'm going to rock out with, from this point
Yeah.
forward, which actually is a bad thing. It's a bad thing. I'm terrible. I'm I'm a jinx. I'm a hex. So yeah. So yeah,
um,
Ole Miss took care of business.
they did, and they covered as well too, I believe. So that was very nice. And we're going to move on to another team who might have lost on the scoreboard, but won our hearts over if you put money on them. I'm talking about the JMU Dukes, baby. They went over to Eugene, Oregon, and tried to take down the Ducks, but the Ducks were just too much for them. Oregon rolls 51-34. Dante Moore had a decent game, 313 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did have 2 interceptions. One thing that I'll say, I mean, this game was basically over, excuse me, in the first half. So it looked pretty ugly. It was 34-6 going into halftime. One of the things that I'll give JMU is they didn't back down even whenever they were getting thrashed. Like if you look at this game, you're like, they scored in garbage time. They were probably playing against backups. The majority of their touchdown drives in that second half were still against the majority of ones for Oregon because I think Oregon wants to make sure that everybody's ready. They really didn't want to rest too many people. So shout out to JMU for still trying to fight. They put up 509 yards. Again, a lot of it was in like the second half when the game was out of reach already. But one thing that really killed them were penalties. 13 for 113 yards. You're never going to beat anybody when you do stuff like that. They did control the time of possession, and our boy Alonzo Barnett, 23 of 48, 273 yards, 2 touchdowns. It'll be interesting to see if he sticks around, James Madison, or if he enters the portal to go anywhere. Wayne Knight, excuse me, their workhorse running back, 17 carries, 110 yards. I think the thing that I'm the most impressed with JMU is how they covered 9 plays, 99 yards, score a touchdown, and cover the spread. So shout out to the Dukes, man. I was happy for you guys getting in. Unfortunately, I figured that it was going to be too much to overcome with Oregon beating them outright, but you guys covered. We could at least say that, right? Something Tulane couldn't do.
Not all heroes wear capes, and not all heroes win every fight, Mike. Yeah, it was 34-3 at one point for Oregon, and James Madison controlled that time of possession there simply because Oregon was scoring at a clip. We're talking 5 plays, 4 plays, 3 play touchdown drives. The freshman Jordan Davison really kicked it off for them to start the game. And then they had that early touchdown to Jamari Johnson right down the seam. Dante Moore. I mean, Dante's awesome. I love Dante. He throws the ball well. He makes good decisions. He's smart. Malik Benson comes back, 6 catches, 119 yards, and James Madison. I tell you what, you said it. Penalties hurt them, and it was 13-3 at one point. I think in the early second quarter, maybe at the end of the first quarter, and James Madison runs a trick play, and they get past Oregon, and they get inside the 10-yard line or to the
Mhm.
10-yard line, and boom, they just shoot themselves in the freaking foot. End up having to kick a field goal. You know, the dreamer in me believes that if they can find a way to score a touchdown, maybe it can be a little bit more competitive of a ball game, right?
Mhm.
Because you can't walk into a game like that being James Madison and kick field goals. But you know what? It just two things, the difference in talent, absolutely. But this is a good thing for James Madison at the end of the day, and I'll explain this for a brief moment. Uh, so the Sun here, Tulane actually made $6 million. Tulane, as a school, if I'm not mistaken, Mike, you could check this. They made 6 million, but James Madison, the Sun Belt makes 4 million for them to be there, and basically James Madison gets a portion of that $4 million. I think they're supposed to only get 25%, but I think the Sun Belt donated a little bit more money to James Madison for the funding of food and travel, things of that nature, itinerary shit. So, you know, it's going to be good for them. It's going to be good for the program in terms of the notoriety and kids wanting to go to school there and maybe transfer there and use that as a stepping stone. Now they are losing their head coach this year. Um, Mike, do you know who's going to be the head
Chesney.
coach?
Oh, it's yeah, Billy Napier.
That's right.
He's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And that's awesome. Drew a blank in my mind, but yeah, I forgot. They basically made a coaching swap. Yeah, kids are going to want to come play for James Madison, dude. Like, it's going to be all right. Here's
Hmm.
my suggestion to them. You don't want this to happen again? You're going to have to find a way to schedule better out of conference games. You're going to have to potentially take that loss and maybe have the opportunity of not making it here. But like, I think James Madison can really build something moving forward. I don't really see that continuity with Tulane, but we've seen the trajectory that James Madison has taken over the past um, decade, if you will, in college football, period, but here since 2022 in the FBS as well. So I like that. I like where they're going. I like where they're headed. I'm glad they covered. They played with heart, and I hope some of those kids stay there, and I hope they gain some people in the transfer portal.
Yeah, absolutely. And I couldn't see why. I mean, they have sick uniforms, they have nice facilities. I think they're going to be doing some construction to their one side of the football stadium to make it a little bit bigger. And then, like I said last week, I could see them within the next 5, 10 years. I don't know how much you're really tied into your conference moving up to potentially a power conference in the ACC or the Big Ten or Big 12, excuse me, something of that nature. I really do think that they could be a team that does that because, like you said, they've excelled from the FCS level and now moving to the FBS level. I mean, it's a place. I mean, look and see. I mean, Signetti comes from there. He goes to Indiana, turns them around. Chesney is getting a great opportunity to turn another program around. It's almost like if you want a Power Five or a Power Four, I guess, excuse me, job, you go to JMU for 2 years and you excel, you're going to get that. It's almost like it's like the coaching JUCO of the world, if I could say that, I guess. But yeah, shout out to the Dukes, man. They're going to be all right. I think they're going to get some good transfers. I mean, shit, Napier was really good at Louisiana. They also play in the Sun Belt, so he has ties to that conference as well too already. And I think he could get them motored up and ready to go for maybe another playoff run. You never know. So for those people who are going to say, congrats to JMU and to Tulane for being the last group of 5 teams to get into the college football playoff, go fuck yourself. Ohio State beat the shit out of Tennessee last year. Ohio State, the second round, beat the shit out of Oregon as well too. It's like these blowouts happen no matter what goes on. So Penn State beat SMU by 40 points or whatever it was. Like it's not just the group of 5. If you want them to not make the college football playoff, you tell me what the alternative is. Do we drop them down a division or what? It's not fair. So I'll die on that hill for sure. But we won't talk about these matchups until for next week. But like we mentioned, Wednesday, December 31st, Miami taking on Ohio State at AT&T Stadium down in Arlington, Texas. And then New Year's, we got Oregon versus Texas Tech. That's the noon kickoff. That's going to be at Miami Gardens at the Hard Rock Stadium. Then the 4 o'clock game, Alabama facing off on Indiana. I cannot wait for this game, especially with it being in the Rose Bowl. Take a look at Indiana's decal. I'm pretty sure that they have the rose intertwined with it like they used to do back in the day. So
I
I'm
saw
really
that.
looking
That's
forward.
beautiful. That's
Really
beautiful.
looking. Yep, really looking forward to that one. And then the nightcap, we got Ole Miss versus Georgia. This one's
The
going to be
Sugar
being
Bowl.
played in New Orleans at the Caesars Superdome. That's always going to be weird for me to say that, but I'm really looking forward to these games and to these matchups. But with that, knock, we will move down a level to the FCS ranks. And boy, do we have a great national championship, I think, that's going to take place this weekend. We got Montana State taking on Illinois State. We won't really dive too much into it, but I made a video about this. If you didn't see it, go over to our TikTok, go on our YouTube page. Illinois State has one of the best runs that I've ever seen to get to a national championship. This is a team that lost to, I think, Southern Illinois or something like that, SIU, the last game of the season, and knocked them down to 8-4. They got blown out by 20 points. People didn't think they were going to make it. Boom. They somehow make it as an unranked, unseeded team. They go down to Southeastern Louisiana and they put on a defensive clinic, 21-3. You know what their next game is? North Dakota State, the number one team in all of the FCS playoffs, who has one of the toughest environments to play in up there in the Fargo Dome. They go up there, they're down 14 points with 6 minutes left, I believe. Doesn't matter. They come back and they convert a 2-point conversion with about 50 seconds left, I think, to take the win 29-28. Then they go home back to Illinois. You know where else they got to travel to? UC Davis. They got to go to the West Coast now, who is the eighth ranked team. They beat them 42-31. Don't let that score fool you. They were up 42-16, I believe, at one point. That game was more than out of hand. And you know what? Why not keep it going? We're the underdog again. We got to go to Pennsylvania. We got to play in the cold against Villanova, a team who's been cooking. Doesn't matter. They beat them 30-14. This is a team, like I just mentioned, this is a great run. Shout out to Illinois State. This is going to be their first time playing in the national championship since, I think, 2012 or 2011, I believe. Might even be 2013. The last time they were there, they played against North Dakota State, who was led by Carson Wentz, and they lost to him. So hopefully a little bit of a redemption story. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to be rooting against them. For those of you who don't follow the program, my FCS team, Montana State, you know who they knocked off this week? The in-state rival of Montana. The second time this year that they've beaten them. This is a 4-game win streak that they have against Montana. And it was close to begin, then they ended up pulling away, especially in that second half. They won 48-23. They got there. They beat Yale in their first matchup, 21-13. Beat Stephen F. Austin in a matchup that really wasn't even close, 44-28. And then they beat their in-state rivals, their little brothers, Montana, 48-23. So I'm really excited for this matchup. I definitely will be tuning in for that. I want to say it's going to be January 5th. So they don't play this weekend. It'll be the following weekend at 7:30 on ESPN. So make sure you guys tune into that.
Now, let's highlight somebody for Illinois State real quick, Mike. Running back Victor Dawson, just a beast, 34 carries, a
Mhm.
buck 55 on the ground. That's like 4.5 yards a carry, which is about average. But again, just a thing, they were an underdog versus Villanova coming into the game. And, that's how you win playoff games on the road. They did it in a cold outside Philadelphia environment. It's cold in Pennsylvania. It gets windy. Obviously, the quarterback play wasn't terrible. It wasn't great. 20 incompletions for Tommy Rittenhouse. But yeah, man, I'm glad that you're a Montana State guy. I'm glad that you follow this a little bit more in depth than I do. Just for that, just for shits and giggles, I'm going to root for Illinois State. I hope I can find time on the 5th. I was not able to find time to catch the Montana State game. So definitely rooting Illinois State. That's an incredible run. Notable, incredible playoff runs that aren't college Division II or III college football, but we're talking, Super Bowl winning teams. The Giants in 2007, this Pittsburgh Steelers in 2005. So, sometimes great teams go out on the road and have to win playoff games no matter where. So, let's go Illinois State, rooting for them.
I respect it. Yeah, I wish it didn't have to come down to this, but I think one thing that helps Montana State just take a step above a lot of other programs or just teams is Justin Lamson, their quarterback, the transfer from Stanford. We mentioned that a couple of times. He looked really good this weekend, 13 and 19, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns. Running back Adam Jones, who's been a beast all game, he had 16 carries, 131 yards, averaged over 8 yards a carry, and 2 touchdowns as well. And talk about a great football name here. Taco Dowler, yeah, 5 receptions, 125 yards, 1 touchdown as well too. And then their defense is just very ferocious. I think they've just been playing with a chip on their shoulder, especially their first game of the year. They got their shit kicked in by Oregon big time, and then kind of went on a run as well too, and just kind of solidified their way and paved it for this national championship run. So shout out to those two teams, man. This is good football too. Don't think just because it's FCS and not FBS that it's some slouch or anything like that. You're not going to get a good watch. Trust me, you're wrong if you think that. Make sure you tune into ESPN on January. What did I say? January 5th. So that's actually a Monday. Excuse me. So that's not this upcoming Monday. It'll be next Monday, January 5th, 7:30 on ESPN. Make sure you tune in for that.
Yep.
And then moving down, we'll go to D2 here. So shout out to Ferris State, man. They played Harding, a team that we talked about, Knock, is very, very powerful on the ground. They run that triple option and make teams confused by the movement that they have at the line of scrimmage, who's getting the ball. Ferris State completely dominated this game, 42-21. They win back-to-back national championships. They do it without the quarterback who led their team last year, Trinidad Chambliss. Yes, that Trinidad Chambliss from Ole Miss, and they just they look good from start. What is that?
Sorry about that.
You're good. Was it an ad?
Yeah.
You're good, bro. But yeah, Ferris State just looked really, really good. They have a they have a good offense. I mean, they're very mix and match. They could run the ball, they could pass the ball. Wyatt Bauer, 10 of 16, 177 yards, 2 touchdowns, but they really got it done on the ground. Chase Carter, 7 carries, 111 yards, 1 touchdown. They put up 363 yards on the ground, which is crazy because if you look at Harding, they only rushed for 247 yards. You might be sitting there thinking, damn, only 247 yards, 246 yards. This dude's being kind of harsh. If you go look at the yards that they averaged per game, I want to say their rushing was over 450 yards per game. So shout out to Ferris State and their defense. They came ready to play.
Yeah, to outrush a rushing team of that stature is I don't even know what to say, man. It's pretty incredible. Ferris State is so well coached, so disciplined. There's going to be some guys on this team that you will see in Division I college football next season. I can almost guarantee that. Yeah, man. Holding a guy like Andrew Miller to 70 yards. I'm just looking at some of these numbers, and 246 is a lot. That is a lot of rushing yards. Ferris State to put up 300 on the ground. I mean, they had 8 guys rush the football. You know what I mean? So they're a deep team. They use a little bit of everybody, man. And, they're just good, solid football, Mike.
Yeah, very, very good. Yeah, they held Harding to just 4 yards a carry, which is pretty crazy. And, when a team gets down like that, at halftime, it wasn't too bad. It was 21-14, but then Ferris State scores 21 in the third, just to Harding 7. So when you get down by 3 scores and you're a predominant rush team, it's kind of hard to get the ball rolling, even with passing. And even with that, they went just 3 of 5 for 80 yards and a touchdown. Keelan, the quarterback for Harding, the big lefty out there. If you've never seen him, go take a look at him. He's a big boy. He can run the ball, and when he needs to pass it, he can usually put his ass into it and get it out there. But yeah, shout out to Ferris State. I believe. So how many games is that for them? How many games did they play this year? They went, I want to say probably 14, 15 games probably. So I want to say that they are on a 29-game win streak dating back to last year. They lost the first game of the season last year. I know I talked about it a couple of times, and then went on a run, won the rest of their games, won the Natty, and then this year just steamrolled through everybody, basically won every game and won back-to-back national championships. So shout out to Ferris State. They've kind of taken over that Division II realm of being a powerhouse. It'll be interesting to see, like you said, Knock, which one of their players or how many of them go to the Division I level, and not just like Division I, like going to the MAC, going to these smaller schools. Like look at Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss. They had two linemen. One went to one went to Michigan. The other went to Iowa. They had a running back that went to West Virginia who didn't really see the field, but hey, he still went there. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm going to be looking forward to seeing some of their names in the portal. And then last division that we'll talk about, Division III, they have their national championship coming up on January 4th. So that'll be not this upcoming Sunday, the next Sunday. It'll be interesting to see because it's North Central College versus University of Wisconsin River Falls. I do believe this is University of Wisconsin River Falls. I think it's their first trip to a national championship in Division III. So shout out to them for making it this far. I will say you guys are going to be very, very your backs are going to be against the wall, just to say the least. This North Central team is solidified. They know how to win national championships. Just from 2019, they've won 3. They usually always have someone who's in the running for the National Player of the Year or the Division III Heisman. And yeah, I don't really know too much about UW River Falls, but I'm going to be going with North Central just because of how well they've been able to play, not only this year, but in years past as well, too.
Yeah, River Falls just beat John Hopkins. I remember Will Ferrell saying that he used to smoke pot with Johnny Hopkins and Sloan Kettering, so that brought a little smile on my face there. But let me digress from that. So yeah, I don't really know too much about North Central. Apparently, like you said, they're a powerhouse then.
Yeah.
Okay. I
Yeah,
can't
they're very
stop
good. And 2 games or 3 games ago, I believe, they actually beat another Wisconsin branch with UW Lacrosse, I think it is. They beat them. That was a kind of a close game. One thing I will say, shout out to you for bringing that up. River Falls did beat John Hopkins, who John Hopkins isn't a pushover. They beat them 48-41. So if you're going to try to continue that momentum, you better have it, roll over into this game because you're going to need it.
Yeah, for sure. And River Falls, I mean, winning the game on a 79-yard touchdown, an incredible play, to be honest with you, with less than a minute remaining. They're 13-1, so, we'll see if they can upset the undefeated North Central this, when do they play, actually? January
It'll
4th,
be
January 4th
Yeah,
and
the
8th.
4th. Yep. So it'll be interesting because I think that's when the NFL playoffs start. So I don't really know the thought logic of putting that game on during that and just not having it on Saturday. But who are we? We're not the schedule makers. But yeah, I think that wraps it up for everything that we wanted to talk about. Knock, you got any final thoughts or last words, anything like that?
No, I mean, I'm trying to take a look at what we got going here. One of the big games, January 1st. Yeah, okay. So yeah, we'll be back on the pod to talk about the games here, some of
Yeah.
these bowl games and college football playoff games as well. So no,
Yeah.
I think we're all squared away, buddy.
Yeah, that's all I have. It's just been really good watching all this football. I'm sad to see it start dwindling down to, the last remaining bits and pieces of it. But I'll continue to watch, especially some of these bowl games. I know they don't get a lot of love these days, but trust me, I'm watching them. And for those of you who don't follow us, go follow us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, every social at Sportswithskiz. Make sure you like and subscribe on YouTube, and then go check us out on all podcast platforms. Man, we're on Apple and Spotify right now as well too. So if you're not big into watching these shows, go check it out. Listen to our voices. If they annoy you, then I don't know what else to tell you, man. At least we tried. But that does it here with Sports with Skiz, and we will talk to you guys again next week.